Okay, so the Hodgetwins are conservatives. They did a whole video um, on being uh, conservatives. With I can't remember who was administering the interview, but I'm not mad at it. Here's the thing. They were having a discussion about critical race theory and what exactly it is. I feel like history should be respected. I feel like the black struggle should be respected, and it still goes on. There are things, but you need to decolonize the mind. You need to get out of that headspace that you can't overcome. Because some people do use it as an excuse, and some people use it as a dog whistle. Like, you feel this is your a sore spot for you. I'm going to hold on to it and use it to manipulate you. Just because somebody knows your history doesn't mean they respect it, doesn't mean they care. There's a lot of things to take into consideration when looking at a government official, and you need to be more than a one issue voter, and you need to understand, what does racism look like to you, because just saying racist things doesn't mean that you're it can mean you're a racist, but actions speak louder than words. There's some things that people do that are a lot more insidious. Like, they've been talking about the crime bills that people have been passing. Go look at the history of your elected official and see the way they've moved, not necessarily the way they open their mouth. Because somebody can smile in your face and stab you in the back, and if you just keep taking the sweet words, it might go down like poison instead of honey. Well, poison or vinegar? I don't know. Um, I respect them for saying their political affiliation, but people also need to understand that there's different things that go along with that. Both parties have elements of conservatism in there, and both parties have liberalism as elements in it. So you have to be more than a one issue voter. You need to look into their platform, and you need to know the people you're voting for, what they're doing, why they're doing it, their track record. I mean, right now there's great tools like LinkedIn to look at different people. Who do they know? Why do they know these people? There's a lot of information to get a better quality government. Now, um, the Ben Carson said that um, the things he was seeing in the housing and urban development was worse than slavery. I think he's trying to tell people that you need to decolonize the mind. Well, not colonize, but free yourself from the mental slavery that um, Ben Carson is talking about. Now, Kanye West is talking about. Kanye West kept saying that he's been locked out of fashion. Well, he was talking about it in the sense that they have a oligopoly. Like, they're already established houses, it's hard to break into. But you see different people doing it. You see Virgil Abloh, you see Rihanna. So why did they lock him out? Is it critical race theory, like they don't want to see him there? Or and is that the reason why they've chosen other people? Or because people play games like that too, to make a point to other people, and even starting his own fashion line. He Kanye West came out as a Trump supporter. So maybe he was talking about different barriers to entry for different things. So he's allowed access to certain things being with Republicans that he might not necessarily. Like, he said they were talking about land ownership. Oddly enough, Donald Trump has been accused of kicking black people out of his homes. I don't know if it was in terms of gentrification or whatnot, but again, that's why you need to know who they are, what they are, and why they do what they do. So why was Kanye West backing him so heavily, during even going so far as to wear mega hats? Um, I'm not saying run out there and support Donald Trump, but some of these things, like when you talk about government, like Republicans, and you look at states' rights, different people who believe in states' rights, you're seeing the anti-vaxxers. Should the government have so much control as to tell you that you have to get a vaccine to force you to do something like that? Should they? Different things like that. How much money goes into to different programs? Are these things that we should be focusing on? Um, some things are more important than whether or not a person is racist. A person could be racist in one component and something else. Like, for example, this person might not like black people, but might know that a black person is the best person for the job. So they might hire them. And then, what does racism look like? Because is overt worse than covert? Because there are some people who will not tell you that they are those exact people, that they're racist, but they need you for something. They need you for something, or that they get something out of you. I had one teacher that said that everybody's inherently racist. So, what's the magnitude of their racism, and what does their racism look like to you? You need to go back and do an audit and see how well did the Trump government actually perform on certain issues. Did jobs increase? Did like what were you expecting out of a Trump economy? Right now, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We saw how Trump handled Puerto Rico. How did Puerto Rico compare to Hurricane Katrina? Um, I feel like there were some natural disasters during the Obama administration, but I don't really remember them. I'm not sure about under the Clinton administration, but this is something. Um, for me personally, I find that Joe Biden is quiet. He is quiet, but Trump is that charismatic leader, but we have to be paying attention to what he's saying and what he's doing. Because what does it mean to be a conservative? So, how do you spend your money? Why do you spend your money? Now, Bill Gates said that the world wasn't prepared for the next epidemic. Well, it's here. How much did Donald Trump's administration, because did it start under the Trump administration, invest in the epidemic? Again, Joe Biden is taking over. How much is he investing? These things are issues. You need to look at budgets, balance sheets, see how the countries are performing. A country, if you watch another story like by Burner Boy, these countries are all businesses. How are they performing? Again, Donald Trump has people going out there with tiki torches. Is it because Barack Obama is from Hawaii? People focus a lot about the racism. Is he making? Why is he making these spectacles? Why are people involved watching these spectacles? These things, Democrats and Republican, more so than liberal and conservative, these things are religion. All of these are dog whistles. What is going on in the day to day, the business aspect of these different things? How did it feel under a Trump administration? Was the country stable or was it more stable under Barack Obama? What does it mean to vote? How important is your vote? They talk about the electoral college and like, do you understand what it means? If you didn't vote, you don't really get the right to complain. Now, different people are saying that there's issues that the election was stolen. You just saw what happened in Haiti. It's not even a joke. Their president was assassinated. This isn't the first time. They staged a coup and against Jean Baptiste Aristide, and had him exiled to Africa for demanding reparations. Now all of a sudden they have all these stimulus package, all this money to pay everybody. Where does this money come from? The Asian community has received reparations for uh, World War II, I believe. Um, so why can't the black community receive reparations? What would the black reparations look like? Would it just be like food stamps or the what they do in urban housing development? What would it look like? Again, will it be programs that result in dependency, or will they be programs that enhance um, the the community? The reason why I'm scared to see something like reparations is because I've seen how it works in Canada. The natives here, the Native Americans, or the Native Canadians, sorry, do get checks from the treaties. How is it managed? Who's in power? What do your governments look like at the tribal or communal level? Right? Is everything ethical? I think it would be a good idea to watch Blackstone to understand some of the how trauma can impact the success rate. I think different things are different things because once you start doing reparations, the black community is big. It's big and it's diverse. Are you black and African? Like African from the continent? Are you black and African born on this continent? Are you African American with no direct ties to the continent? Are you um, Caribbean American and have no direct connection to the continent? Because almost all black people, well, if you count the Ethiopians or exclude the Ethiopians, all of us have been impacted by colonialism. There's still a slave port in Kenya, Fort Jesus. The history is there. They don't even talk about domestic slavery. If you watch Palm Trees in the Snow, they had slaves on the continents. So you might say, oh, you weren't born here, you don't deserve. Well, is that the case? Is that the case when you can make a direct connection to slavery on the other side or to colonialism? How much did it impact you? Some of these people have generational wealth from, again, Burna Boy, another story, good music video. Some people have a ton of money from selling Africa. Some people have a ton of money from slavery, what they were doing with their companies. I mean, the Hudson's Bay Company, you were trading in furs. How old is that company? Um, Sorry, it's supposed to be about black conservatism. Even access to information. Some people were running businesses before you even had to go to business school. You have to pay how much to learn how to do what now? You have to know how to do what, to do what, to do what. How many, like, who is involved in opening up the first school? Do you understand? Like, some people didn't have to go to school to be able to do the job that they have. And there are a whole bunch of people, they can't do that job until they go to school. Like, who is the first person to open up a beauty school in some of these cities and some of these states? Being a black person, they don't teach you how to do black hair, but you have to spend how many thousands to go learn how to do white hair before you can practice black hair. I mean, you can do it on the table at home, or there's some exceptions for home based businesses, but technically, you need to be licensed. So, what are you supposed to say? Again, what does it mean to be a conservative? What is I think they conflate it as the conservatives want you to be more independent, so you need to know what you're doing and how to do it and do it on your own. Bernie Sanders said he was going to do cheap education. Well, if the education is cheaper, or you're able to grant more access, you'll have a higher volume in the colleges. Now, are you going to turn out better quality students, better quality employees? Is that an incentive for business? um, I don't think being a black conservative is a bad thing. I don't think being a black Republican. These A lot of people think that Candace Owens is a joke or is a coon or is I've seen all the names that they call her. I don't think that's it. I think she's just trying to say what a lot of people have been saying. Killer Mike, he doesn't necessarily like some of these things you don't really hear the Democrats say, like, oh, we're gonna help you start businesses. Like they talk about education, um, healthcare, getting past you need to pass universal healthcare, in my opinion. You really do need to. I know they talk about handouts, but you really do need to. As a person who's been sick before, I don't know what I would do if we didn't have healthcare, if we didn't have the government subsidizing it. How many people they've made John Q. They've made many different movies. Never Let Me Go. Um, All these things telling you how desperately we need it. So, what does it take to make an ideal country? Now, conservative, everybody fend for themselves. That's not necessarily the best thing, but everybody should think for themselves. What is right for you? What is right for your community? What is right? You can't assume that just because a person belongs to one party that they are not racist. Um, Democrats and Republicans have owned slaves. And then again, is your democracy extrapolated to include everybody, like including the black community, the brown community, the Asian community? When you elect a government official, are they thinking of everybody's needs? Oh, these people are just racist against black people? Well, what about the Asians? What about the Latinos? What about the Italians? What about the Germans? What about some people say that these people are neo Nazis or they're Nazis. Do the Germans ascribe to that belief? What does it mean to wear these different brands, these different stereotypes? When, if it's only when you get to the polls you see racism, but in your day to day you're interacting with all these different people. I can't sit there in a room and say, oh, these are all my white friends, and then when it comes time to vote, say, oh, all white people are racist. It doesn't necessarily work that way. They don't necessarily vote racist, if that makes sense. What does it mean to vote in your best interest? And again, different people and going out there and putting out their opinion. I need you to show me that this person is in my best interest. I felt like the elections were rigged before we even um, stepped into the ring to vote, into the ballot booth to vote. Bernie Sanders. Andrew Yang was talking about like how Bernie Sanders had a conversation with Joe Biden. I like I felt like it was just handed to him. Like a lot of people didn't even try. Again, they want to say this election was rigged. It was Bernie or bust. Where did Hillary Clinton come from? I feel like if Bernie Sanders went up against Donald Trump, he would have shaken up the establishment the way we needed it. Donald Trump went in there to shake up the establishment, but now what do we have? Now what did we do we have? Did Joe Biden win on his own merit? I don't know. He is so quiet. He's like, in my opinion, he feels more suited to being vice president. He's just like, well, and maybe we need quiet for a while. We had loud for a while, but maybe we need quiet. I don't know. I just don't find him to be as charismatic. And I feel like they put Kamala Harris is like talking. I don't know. Like when Barack Obama was there, I didn't really hear Joe Biden speak. It was like, oh, they portrayed them as like best friends or whatever. But Barack Obama was there, and it's like, oh, look at this old white man behind him. Now we have that old white man in front. Now look at him in front of this young black woman. They keep emphasizing the blackness, the blackness, the blackness. What would have happened if Donald Trump made Ben Carson his vice president or his running mate? What would have happened if Donald Trump ran with Omarosa? I would have died. It would have been hilarious. But imagine if Donald Trump ran with Omarosa. What would that have looked like? Because again, you have to be careful of tokenism. Just because a black person is there doesn't mean this person is for black people per se. You always have to look deeper. You always have to, and different people were talking about, look at her stance, look at how she was working as a prosecutor. What was she doing? Kamala Harris. I don't know. I don't know. Now the Hodgtons are conservatives? Good. Let's hear the other side of the coin. There are a lot of liberal black people. Are you even liberal? Or are you just saying that's the party that's not racist? When you hear Candace Owen speaking, what parts do you disagree with? Is it just that she's a conservative? Or is it because she's a Republican? Again, you can be a conservative liberal or a conservative Democrat, and you can be have pieces of conservative, selective conservatism, I should say. Um, I don't know. I'm excited to hear what they have to say. They're kind of talking. They kind of speak in like brosif. Well, not brosif, but it's like I don't know. It's like imitating a middle-aged country white man, like a stereotypical like, oh, I can't do an American accent. I don't even want to try. It's so embarrassing. But um, that's that's what they've been up to. I'm excited. I don't think people should unsubscribe. I think they should give it a fair chance before they cut them off and look back at their old content. Is Are they stereotypical conservatives? I kind of hear it in their jargon. Are they? Like, were you actually surprised? I don't know. I don't know. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for listening.